now there's a political pressure group, most pressure groups really, are in that very direction. And they call themselves this time, I haven't heard this one before, LMVCA. Okay, and they go by the name Let My Vote Count Alliance. They've announced plans to embark on a series of demonstrations aimed at forcing the Electoral Commission to come out with a new voters register for the 2016 election. We know that this has been a debate over the last, I believe, 48 hours, if not 12 hours, so to speak. Especially the group alleging that the current register is bloated and cannot be used for the 2016 election, thus their insistence on a new one. The Electoral Commission, though, says that, well, they have ways. They display the register. If you feel there are names in there that are not supposed to be there, give proof. You have laid down procedures and let those names be taken out. It's a mind-boggling issue, right? When we have compiled the register and we know that we're supposed to have agents there. The agents make sure they screen. Some even were turned. Some people were even turned, etc. Even filmed by the media and reported. Now we're told that the register is bloated. Roland, it's a debatable subject.
Roland, you see, I've been involved in running an election, and like you said, you go to the polling station. There's a record of voters there. You go, you mention your name, and you go and vote. If you go there and your name is not, you'll not be allowed to vote. Very transparent. You see, people should find time to contribute to the development of that. Go on the street for demonstration for what?
Well, they have concerns.
If they what concern?
Or they're worried that the current voters register we have is bloated.
No, how? I will assume they are talking from the opposition angle.
No, it's a pressure group. They haven't said whether they are aligned to the opposition or not.
The opposition had 5 million votes. Were the votes that they got, were they bloated votes? Were they bloated votes? They were not bloated votes. People generally went to vote for them. You see, look, I believe sometimes it's a waste of time to come and talk about these things. We've got an electoral commissioner. Let's allow them to do their job and stop putting unnecessary pressure on them. This electoral commission superseded over the 2001 elections where NPP won, and they ran for 8 years, and we have been voting since with the same human beings that are alive in this country who are qualified to vote. So for Christ's sake, this kind of every time let my vote count alliance and that kind of, I think they should find time to do something better. The registrar, the electoral commission knows. They display the voters. If somebody is dead in your family, you go and report and his name is removed. Are they going to give us money to go and do another voter registration?
But that's not an excuse.
No.
If a document they believe is not authentic.
By what means of investigation? What have they done? They should come and tell us that in Greater Accra.
Well, during the petition, there were points to prove that some of the names in the register really either have been entered twice.
Yes, not normally. That is why people the EC sweeps the register. That's why there's a system that sweeps finds that if the two names are the same, it clears it. And we are all told that 1,000, 2,000 people also have been expunged from the voters register. I mean, look. Democracy in this country is working. We've been able to go to 4 or 5 elections.
We filed an election petition too.
And it's working. So please, please, please.
So if people have concerns, they shouldn't raise
them. If the government has got money...
Be tolerant. If people have concerns, they shouldn't raise them.
These are not concerns. There are things that people just want to just give and praise that the democracy
We've been in this country for which even the court of law had to really summarily conclude that some of the criteria for registration was wrong. For example, you needed to have even a national identification authority card. You needed to have a national health insurance card.
It was an afterthought.
Yes,
after the
later had to be expunged.
So but then that doesn't mean that the voters register is bloated. Those who went to register with national health card, that was the system that the document that was allowed to be used. And now you say don't use it anymore.
It could have been abused, and so with that, the pressure group could have concerns that
That's the perception.
People with national health insurance who necessarily may not have had the legal rights to register could be in the register.
Roland, tell me something in this country. Tell me something. How many Ghanaians have got passports? How many Ghanaians have got driving licenses? And even birth certificates? You see, you are living a world or a country. In other jurisdictions, the moment you are born, right, you're automatically registered at the hospital.
No, that's a breach.
Yeah, that's why I said certain jurisdiction. Automatically, when you come out of the hospital, you come out of your birth certificate is ready for you to take home. Go to the villages. Some people are born and they know they are. You see, so don't stretch it. When you stretch it too much, you have nothing to write home about. Our system is not perfect, but for all along we've been able to survive on an imperfect system, and it's working.
Well, we have to perfect it.
Gradually.
It's one of the means to make sure we perfect it.
But the Electoral Commission hasn't come
now
to
with
say
the
that.
concerns that not only this very pressure group is raising, but also the MPP as well as now the CPP is raising, it could become a point of dispute because we need consensus while going into
the last election. Didn't you go to vote for a voters register? They've gone by the days where people were even no. You remember in Ashanti I heard a commentary where somebody says that he alone can take 60 people to go and vote. You know, I mean, so we've perfected the system, and now got biometric.
You can't do that in our current system.
Yeah, you can't do that in our current system. You see, so as we go along,
if you do, one of them will.
Exactly. So as we go along, we perfect the system, but don't let's bastardize the system. The system is not perfect, but as a people, we've been able to be tolerant and be working with the system. We cannot afford every 4 years to go and do new registration.
You are chairman of a political party. Let me ask you, how do you people tend to, as politicians, tend to bus people or gather people to do double registrations?
I haven't done that before. So
I'm not saying you have done it.
No, I don't know about it.
Okay. How is that done?
I don't know about it. You are telling me when people are buzzed. But I've never done that
not only
before.
buzzed, but
double registration.
Well,
how do you do that? The system will pick you up.
Prior to the 2012 election,
yes,
the Electoral Commissioner,
yes,
or the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kwejo Afarijan, who's now retired, of course, held a press conference at the press center here in Accra, and vividly showed the media pictures of certain registered voters who he thought, or the commission had sat down and taken the analysis and said, these really were minors.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not necessarily minors, but they were not up to the age of 18 to vote. He said some of them that they had been able to corroborate within the various electoral polling areas, they've been able to take out.
Yes.
But some they can't verify their ages, had already entered the register. Does that put the situation in a certain dilemma that you could vividly see that this is somebody who is not up to 18 but is registered?
Yeah, you know, in every situation, there will be somebody, there will be bad nuts. That one is a human.
So if the person has entered, the person has entered.
Yeah, so the person who was registering must have been up to his or her job, right?
No, and asked for
exactly. You know, but it's like football. Can you determine the person's age unless you use MRS
but those then become the bone of contention.
Exactly, but that doesn't mean the voters' register is bloated.
Well,
it doesn't.
If you have such minute cases,
no, it doesn't mean it's bloated. They've registered. They are human beings.
And comprehensively, you put them together. Yeah. You have a number of people in the register who shouldn't be.
No, but that doesn't mean it's bloated.
Isn't all the argument?
No, that doesn't mean it's bloated. They found.
So you are saying that we have incidents
exactly.
of such.
They found.
It doesn't mean that we're bloated, because if you are saying bloated means that we're talking about large numbers.
Large number, but they are part of the system. So how can it be bloated? There are human beings there.
Okay.
Right. So what you need to do is to ensure that you clean the system.
The argument of the pressure group led My Vote Count Alliance is that
but not to have a new voters register.
The Electoral Commission is supposed to be responsible to make sure that we don't have minors or those who are not entitled to register. But at the same time also, we expect to have the political parties have their agents there.
Exactly.
How do we reconcile the two?
Yes, so I'm saying that the agents...
Because the party says it's not our responsibility.
Yeah, and so the person in the registration must be held to the highest responsibility, right? But the cross matter is that how do you determine somebody's age? Look, I can give you a 13-year-old boy or girl who looks about 25. I mean, you know. So it's very difficult to sit down and say, I mean, as I sit here, if I tell you my age, you probably be...
Well, you keep telling me I don't believe it.
You don't believe it, you understand? So that it goes down the line. What I'm saying is that...
But it's because you like Putin, so...
Yeah, what I'm saying, there are a lot of imperfections.
Right.
But the imperfections, you must find ways of turning imperfections into perfection. That doesn't mean we should be going the street to demonstrate.
Well, they have great concerns.
So you go.
These concerns people's electoral fortune.
So you go. No, the last election didn't 5 million people vote for them? If they won the election, would they have said there was a...
At the end of the day, Mr. Adekoka, as
yes.
chairman of a political party in a certain region, a big region like the Greater Accra, we need consensus prior to getting into the 2016, even electioneering and then ultimately the elections. How do we forge that?
There is consensus in this country. Who tells you there's no consensus?
Why are you so adamant that
I'm not
there are
adamant.
concerns that the opposition is raising?
I believe that the elections are won at the polling stations. You can go and make a new electoral register. But if you're not vigilant at the polling station, you don't win an election. That is what they should rather put their energies into. Right? Look, during the last election, at the polling, most of their agents didn't know what they were doing. Understand? That's where the elections are won, and this is the voters register bloated of voters. If the person comes and his name is not on the voters register, he will not be allowed to vote. The system, so it can be bloated. If you don't turn up, the number of people who are eligible to vote, and it can only be bloated if you have one person registered about 3, 4, 5 times. That person cannot go and vote 5 times. He cannot. The system will catch up with him or her. You see, let us waste our energies into better things than going on the street to demonstrate. For what? That's what is beating my imagination. We can sit down and talk. We can dine as we are talking about, and find the flaws and tell the road. But go on demonstration for what? And you alone can. If you go and other groups will go on a counter demonstration and says that the voter register is adequate. What are you going to do? We don't need these things at this moment of time in this country. We don't need these things. I'm looking for the day, right, that you will sit in your house and vote and not go and queue. These are the kind of we should be talking about. You have smartphones here, so just pray and vote, so there will be no queue. When they were having a British election, look, when they
there were no queues.
No, there were no queues.
They give you sometimes the thing is posted to you.
You just fill it and send it back, and it's all over the world. And we are talking here going to queue in the sun.
It's all over the developed world.
Africa, you see long queues. Sun the sun to go and exercise.
There'll be guns coming.
There'll be guns. No, that's what you're talking about.
So we need to develop.
We need to develop rather than going backwards all the time talking about electoral register. Let's find ways.
What do you think, foremostly, as we head into 2016, because we're just past the half year, getting into the main year where we're going to have the electioneering and the vote, is going to be key in 2016. Not necessarily about what development and other issues are concerned, in terms of how prepared the party should be and things like that.
Roland, what we need to do is to ensure that the promises that we've made the people of Ghana are fulfilled.
Well, so far you're failing on energy.
No, we are not failing. The energy, you see, we are not failing on energy. We have met a crisis and we are fixing it. I don't like the word failure. I told you from the beginning of our conversation that this is not started 2-3 years ago, right? It's something that various governments should have done that they did partially. And now we have been fixed with a period where we are now 35 million. Ghana, we are not 25 million. No. We are 35 million.
I heard you say this on piece of
exactly, 35 million.
Why,
then we are
do you keep
using because I was not counted.
I was not counted.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just an estimate.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The estimate probably might be right or wrong. You understand? And we are using facilities that were built 30, 40 years ago. And we are complaining. Look at the roads here in front of you. Right? In other places, all these buildings have been brought down and widen the road. This one was made 30 years ago. And it's the same road that we are all using. Those days, only 2 or 3 cars will pass on it. Now look at the traffic. Because we sat down not to do things, so I've allowed people to encroach on lands that are supposed to be roads and that kind of thing. Then one day we get up and we are complaining. No, we should fix it. All of us together should fix it. because the problem was caused by all of us.
Wow. Thanks for passing through the studio this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right. I hope you have a funeral.
No, just I took a few. Yeah, today is
the burial.
The burial.
Okay.
So,
all right. Yesterday, what was convened? Yesterday, what was held?
Oh no, today is the funeral.
Yesterday, I saw some buses around and things like with his flags and.
Well, maybe there was a procession or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And we've had in the studio the Greater Accra chairman of the NDC, Joseph Adekoka, and thanks for joining me, sir.
Thank you.
I hope to have you again sometime next week. And we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have a lot more for you. So do stay on.